Lincoln made some mistakes in selecting his cabinet. The most obvious was Simon Cameron, his first Secretary of War, whom Lincoln knew was corrupt and probably incompetent, and Lincoln should have known that a civil war was imminent. So why did he make this major mistake? Because at the Chicago Republican Convention, some of Lincoln's men promised some of Cameron's men that if Pennsylvania supported Lincoln in the nomination process, and Lincoln was ultimately elected, that Cameron would have a prime place in Lincoln's cabinet. Lincoln also made some great choices for his cabinet, notably Edwin Stanton, the subject of my new book. Stanton was a lifelong Democrat, and by selecting him, Lincoln was sending a signal. He was prepared to work with anyone who was in favor of maintaining the Union. Unlike Cameron, Edwin Stanton was a detail man, focused on the minute details, the minute but critical details necessary to bring the Union to victory. And unlike Cameron, Edwin Stanton was honest. The War Department handled millions, billions actually, of dollars, and there was very little corruption. Lincoln relied heavily on his cabinet members. There was no White House staff during the Civil War, except for 3 personal secretaries, but essentially there was no equivalent of the immense staff that the current president has with whom to talk. So if Lincoln wanted to talk to somebody about a problem, he talked with his cabinet members, sometimes at official cabinet meetings, but more often one-on-one. In the case of Edwin Stanton, the War Secretary, these conversations generally occurred at the War Department, in the telegraph room, where there was no telegraph at the White House, so the telegraph room was where Lincoln and Stanton kept in touch with the generals in the field and kept in touch with one another. Lincoln stuck by his cabinet members. When all of the Republican senators came to Lincoln late in 1862 and demanded that he find a different Secretary of State, Lincoln listened to them politely, but stuck by his Secretary of State, William Henry Seward. And when the partisan press demanded the resignation of Edwin Stanton, the Secretary of War, because of his allegedly arbitrary arrests of civilians, and there were lots of arrests, Lincoln stuck by his Secretary of War, Stanton. Lincoln's cabinet became Johnson's cabinet. When Lincoln was killed and Andrew Johnson became president, he asked the cabinet members to remain, and they all did. Many played major roles in the next few years. William Henry Seward, for example, purchased Alaska during the presidency of Andrew Johnson. Edwin Stanton, the Secretary of War, believed that the Army had to remain in the South to protect Southern blacks. Johnson disagreed. He attempted to remove Stanton, and that attempted removal led to the impeachment and near removal of Johnson from the presidency.